RevOps is supposed to be strategic, aligning go-to-market, guiding revenue decision, but many teams still struggle with tactical work, updating reports, that it doesn't leave us much room for being strategic. So with all these different tools, we kind of like don't know what to use anymore, right? So we don't have a data problem, we have a digestion problem. And every time I'm looking at another tool, whether it is like assessing what I have in the tech stack, or I'm looking like to replacing, I'm just comparing features, right, before anything. Because all these tools out there are promising ROI, but if the adoption is not happening, then the ROI is negative. And I have 3 very simple rules when it comes to adopting any tool. It's not even just about the AI. I always had like these rules in mind. One is
Hey, Iulia, how are you doing?
Hey, Michael, doing great. Excited to be here.
Absolute pleasure having you. Look, I love that background. So tell
Thank
us
you.
about your plants. How many?
I have around 150 plants. That's super fun when I have to change the soil every half a year. But yeah, between you and I, not all of them are thriving. So
Well, you're gonna send some over here. We love plants. It's getting chilly
100%.
here. Look, today we're gonna talk about RevOps, obviously. AI, RevOps, go-to-market. But before we get started, we want to get to know you a little bit more. So why don't you tell us a little bit about your background and what you've done in life and what you're working on these days?
Sure. So I'm Iulia. I'm originally from Romania. I spent 8 years at HP back home, and before moving to the States 8 years ago, following my heart and my husband, who was active duty Marine Corps for 14 years. We actually did a long distance relationship for 4 years before I made the move. Yeah. Professionally, I've been in sales and revenue operations my whole career, like more than 15 years. My career started in sales operations and then sales and marketing and eventually into RevOps. Here in the States, over the past 8 years and a half, I had 3 in-house operator roles across SaaS companies, from healthcare to disaster to supply chain. Now supply chain stuck with me, so it become my niche. But RevOps is RevOps. So I've also worked with non-tech companies, including energy procurement and consulting. On top of in-house roles, I've always been doing consulting on the side for 6 years or so, just word of mouth, or like transitioning out of a role and trying to like leave everything right and help the person that was replacing me. And then mostly tactical things like territories, commission plans, Salesforce projects, right? And then about a year and a half ago, I stepped into fractional head of RevOps. And last year, it's been a year since then. October last year, I was laid off.
Congrats.
Like, congrats for being laid off.
Congratulations for your entrepreneurial journey. That was the beginning of it.
So yeah, a year ago I was laid off, but actually, like, it's been a great career change for me, because that pushed me to step fully into fractional RevOps. I was doing fractional RevOps on the side anyways, so that pushed me to like get fully into fractional RevOps. And since then, I work with clients like long-term, more than a year engagement, and I quietly built my LLC, working on a website, working on a logo. This is what I'm up to these days. The website is not there because I'm a perfectionist. But actually, this morning I blasted to my network that here
is ready.
I put a name to it, Rev Tectonic.
I love that.
That's me professionally.
Like, this is awesome. Look, I said congratulations because honestly, we have to say congratulations. To me, it's important to do great work for others, but when you take that leap of faith on yourself and say, hey, this is the time. Look, it's very interesting because many of us migrated to different countries, obviously, and you speak multiple languages and you explore it and see what really works for you. But I'm always curious about the beginning. What happened? How did you get into even RevOps? Because nobody, I don't know, at age of 5 comes and say, Mom, I want to be in RevOps. What's your story?
Yeah, that's a very good question. So I started at HP, and I started in an entry-level role. My second language after Romanian was French. And over there in Romania, the job market is so different, like very competitive, way more competitive than here. If you think here is competitive, over there you have a doctorate and you can't find any job. Okay, so it's bad. But the fact that I was speaking French, it was opening doors in companies, corporations that were doing offshoring activities in Romania, like hubs, right? Operations hubs. So I applied to HP, and it happened that I got a role at HP, entry-level role, but for UK and Ireland. So I didn't use my French, but I started like getting better with my English. So English is my third language. And the role was in sales support operations. So from an entry-level role, I got to build a team. I had managed 25 people or so, grew into a manager role, and I met my husband, and then I moved to the States. Now in the States, I was a little bit lost when I moved, because at HP we were working on computers, we were transitioning to laptops, but it was still like a lot of stuff on premise. There was no Salesforce. They were just implementing Salesforce when I was in maternity leave. And over there, maternity leave is for 2 years. So there's 2 years that I missed. Okay. And when I came here, I started learning Salesforce on Trailhead while taking care of a 2-year-old and doing dinners. In a month after, I landed on this job, sales operations manager. And I was like, what am I going to do now? Like, I've never even seen Salesforce before, other than the Trailhead, right? And then my manager put it in my contract that if I get like my certification by X date, I will get a bonus. That like really drove me to like learn more, learn faster. And I absolutely loved it. And this was my entrance in the sales operation world. Then my job naturally, I was working very closely with marketing, so naturally grew sales and marketing operations. And over the past couple of years, I remember the transition. I was working very closely with customer, with finance, with product. And I was hearing in my network, oh, RevOps, what is that? So I asked my manager, can we change the title to RevOps, because it makes more sense. Like, I'm actually doing all this and working closely with all the teams. So this is how it grew.
This is amazing. This is amazing. I'll get it started when, again, you look for a change, I would say. So you thought maybe you use your French, to get ahead of your competitors. But again, many great things has happened so far. All right, let's talk about RevOps. I remember when we first chatted, you mentioned something like identity crisis. So what's going on there?
Why I'm saying that it has an identity crisis, right? RevOps is supposed to be strategic, aligning go-to-market, guiding revenue decision, but many teams, even today, they still struggle with tactical work, updating reports, managing a CRM, tool admin, right? So we are stuck into like doing all this admin work that it doesn't leave us much room for being strategic. I do see that there is a shift to true strategic RevOps. It's happening, but it's slow, it's uneven, right? It's messy. And then you see all these jobs with go-to-market engineer, and I'm hearing it a lot in my network that, is it replacing RevOps? I don't believe it is, but in smaller companies, especially like, I don't know, below 50 million, one person does everything, right? So they are put in a position where they are director or VP of RevOps, but then they have to like manage the tools and do the commissions, do the territory plans, do some sales enablement, and then have the time to be strategic, design processes, and know all the tools out there as well, right? So that's what I'm saying, that it has an identity crisis. Like, what is RevOps? What is go-to-market engineering? And then before, they didn't have RevOps, didn't have a seat at the executive table. Now it kind of, they have this seat. We have to build it ourselves. We have to build a chair and squeeze in. But more and more companies are partnering with RevOps, whether if it is full-time or fractionally. And that's another trend that I'm seeing a lot, the fractional work, because we are expected to deliver more with less.
Look, it seems like this is a problem across the board. If you're not in a C-suite and don't direct sales, you always have to fight for that seat. Whether you're in enablement, again, larger organizations, if we have, let's say, head of enablement and then we have head of RevOps, it seems like this is a pattern, like everybody's dealing with it. Do you think with what's happening right now in the market, whether we call, some of the activities we do, I don't know, AI engineering or RevOps Plus or whatever the name is going to be, how do you think AI is helping actually to shift that mindset at the, senior executive?
Yeah, that's a very good question. And this ties with like all this over tooling epidemic, right? All these tools have a layer of AI on top of it, right? And when we talk, everybody has a different understanding of AI. Ultimately, what the executive team is expecting, they are expecting to see data that they can rely on, and they are expecting to be able, like with one dashboard, to be able to tell, like what happened, what do we need to fix, what are the narratives that we can tell our board meeting if it is PE backed, or like what are the suggestions, what can we do from here, right? But with all these different tools, we kind of like don't know what to use anymore, right? So we don't have a data problem, we have a digestion problem. And executive, they don't want another dashboard. They want to know like what's working, what's not working. So if you can't translate that into narratives and into suggestions, then you're just painting nice charts, color coded.
Let me ask you a specific question, because this is actually a real life scenario. I see many companies, sign contracts for a year or two with some legacy products because again, that was a status quo and that was a standard pretty much. Now, with what's happening with AI, there are a lot of companies that are innovating and genuinely giving more, with less. So these companies started thinking like, all right, I have this contract. I don't get value from the current platform because I don't have the adoption. I don't have even the usage. And, something is missing. That's why my tool stack is so bloated right now. Just imagine you enter the, picture as a fractional RevOps professional. How would you help them navigate this change? Just imagine they're considering other tools that are more powerful, more accessible, build better data hygiene for the company, but they still have to walk through this political path of saying, hey, the tool that we just signed a contract for 2 years is not working. We've been using it for half a year. We don't get result. It's not about support. The nature of this tool does not sit nicely into our tool stack. How would you actually consult them to go about this?
That's another great question. So first of all, I would assess that tool because tech doesn't fail, adoption fails, right? And I see many companies that have a lot of tools that they don't even know all the features. All these tools are coming up with AI features, but chances are that reps are not even aware of them. They don't even use them. And then you hear about another shiny tool, and you're inclined to be like, oh, this one was not good, let's replace it. But why it wasn't good? Like, was it the adoption? Was it like really is missing some features that you need? And every time I'm looking at another tool, whether if it is like assessing what I have in the tech stack, or I'm looking like to replacing, I'm just comparing features, right, before anything. Because all these tools out there are promising ROI. But if the adoption is not happening, then the ROI is negative. So I would start by understanding and literally like a simple table where you're comparing features. What does it need to do? And if it truly does not have that feature, like look at few solutions out there. Like I usually keep it like maximum 3. And I compare the features.
Let's just dive a little bit deeper into this. And I'm completely with you. Like if you don't know the root cause of that problem, maybe the tech is amazing. Maybe we did a horrible job actually rolling it out, or reinforce it to get that adoption. That's a complete different story. And we see a lot of companies really skip that change management from, again, getting executive leadership to get buy-in across the board from frontline leaders to the end user. And then when it comes to training and reinforcement, it's just one-off thing. And it never actually ties to actual ROI for the end user. So we break their flow of work and say, why didn't you use it? So it kind of like we start, pointing finger at each other. But just imagine right now a company already again invested, same case scenario. They realized the problem was adoption. So the tool can, take care of, some stuff, 60, 70% of what they imagine they really actually needed. But the problem was adoption. Getting end users especially back on track and say, hey, for 6 7 months you have access to this tool, you didn't see value in it, maybe we didn't communicate or whatever the reason was, now come back and give it another try. And again, this guy's, just imagine right now it's Q4, everybody's busy. How should we go about this change? How should we even start getting end user back on track and say, hey, we just made a mistake, let's try it again?
Yeah, so my philosophy is that AI is not going to replace any enablement, right? It's just the new canvas, but the paint is still the curiosity, the humor, the relevance that you have to instill in the team for the team to want to be on board. And I have three very simple rules when it comes to adopting any tool. It's not even just about the AI. I always had like these rules in mind. I mean, always. I learned the hard way. I made mistakes as well, but this is how I came to like draft these rules in my head that I'm following religiously. Like one is you have to get your champion, right? Like find that overachiever in the team that is overperforming. There is always one person that is ready to like test something. So before you even change anything like in the team, you have to find that person that is willing to test it, and you have your success story, and then you roll it out at with the team. Two is move at your team's pace. And this one I've learned it the hard way, right? Because I tend to move fast. I want to look at all the possible tools out there. It's nice to use the latest technology out there. So, but not everybody is on this path, right? Like each company moves at a different pace. So it's very important to understand like the profile for the company. For example, like the companies that I'm working with are mostly SaaS scales up. So they are not in the rip and replace mentality, right? Like they just look for somebody to like untangle their chaos. So you have to like move at their pace and crawl, walk, run. You can't just like come and let's implement this. It's super nice. It's gonna be so good. And what I was saying earlier, start with what you already have. Like look at the tools that you already have. Chances are that there are some features there that your team doesn't even use. So work with what you already have. If you are missing any functionality, start looking outside. So these are the three rules.
I really like that. And I want to focus on actually the part that you mentioned, get a champion. Get a champion, because if you don't do this early on, nobody cares about what the top says. Like they want to see if they actually got some real result using it on field. Now the question is, many of these hyperachievers right now, they're absolutely focused on crushing their numbers. They want to go about like doing their thing. I don't want to generalize because people have different personalities and goals and vision for their career and life. And there are always people who want to help, want to get better, get their hands dirty with new tech. But if they got burned in the past, so let's say this high performers, we got them through one or two projects, and especially in this case, let's say they helped with rolling out the previous tool, how should we get them again to commit to another project while the experience was actually not that positive last time?
I mean, that would be like on the RevOps person, right? If the experience is not positive, I think the problem there is more than with the rep. I mean, if the rep needs to work on 20 tabs to do their job, that's more than a rep problem, right? And like pulling your champion into a project is because you're confident that that's going to help them. So what is the point to even roll anything if you're not confident that it's going to help them do their job better, whether if it is more efficient, faster, putting the right signal at their fingertips at the right time. So it has to like directly respond to their main pain points. Otherwise, there is no point to even roll it out.
If you threw too many projects as someone who's actually hyperachieving and come and say like another test for you, at some point they're gonna cross the line. And what, I'm driving my numbers. Let me do my job. That's fair. Another actually practice on this that we see people actually maximize their chance of success when they're rolling out new tools is that they get some of their up and comers in the mix. So yes, the high performing rep can be a guide, and we can position them as someone who's actually co-building this. But then you get people who are really hustling to get to that A list, and we say, hey, you guys get involved too, and see if we can actually get your numbers up, we get your name in front of the CRO. We're going to make you look like champion. And we see actually, a lot of success, doing this alongside getting the champion, one or two people again that are up and comers. That kind of like helps move the needle early on, based on my experience. Let me ask you a question about timing, because it says right now I'm working with scale ups, and they don't have necessarily all the tool stack, and you need to give the advice that, hey, you move with your own pace. Every team is different. Every setup is different. Some have a coaching culture. The rest really need change management. Imagine we rolled out a sales methodology, and we already paid for command a message, $1 million rollout, because the CRO said we need a methodology. You guys are practicing, different methods. We need that consistency in our messaging. So it's already been started yesterday, and they need a tool to reinforce, let's say, this new learning, this new process. And RevOps is assigned. Go find a tool. We need to get this done as soon as possible. So we don't have that luxury to really run a proper, pilot and walk through the process and really assess the adoption. What's your suggestion in that situation for someone in the seat?
Yeah, that's a great question. And to be honest, like this happens more than the ideal situation when you're like, this is the problem, and like present us the tools out there. No, like oftentimes you have a CRO that comes with their own personal tool that they've been working with before, like in the previous decade, and they swear that that's the best out there. So like they want you to implement it, and they don't care about anything else because they're familiar with it. And my philosophy is that you have to like work with what you got. I mean, if a CRO, for example, is married with a specific product that is good at forecasting, and like they even negotiate, I've seen that happens quite often, that they negotiate a specific program in their contract before they even start with the company, right? And chances are, again, like these products out there, I don't want to put names, but they pretty much do the same thing, right? I mean, you're able to like do some stuff in Salesforce, but then like it's a layer on top of Salesforce that is able to like provide more data into your forecasting and pipeline and so on. So if you communicate with the team and you understand exactly what they need, and I love to put documentation, I document literally everything, and this comes back to like the crawl, walk, run. I think we are still in the area where we have to document, but now like you plug a chat GPT on top and you just ask it like, hey, what are the deals that are at risk, right? So I don't have to like go in and look at graphs and like all sorts of stuff, or like another dashboard, right? But just documenting everything, how you can use it, and using different use cases, like for executive that doesn't have to see like all the details, all the breakdown by, I don't know, new logo expansion or like different sources. They just need the high level overview. Did we hit the quota this quarter or not? And then why we didn't. From an executive level to manager level, how they can use it, to an individual contributor, how they can use it. So like just having simple, make it very, very simple. Whatever it is, if it is like a tool, how it can be used by persona that is going to be in that tool. And I like to have that documentation done instead of like sending, a huge document and you have to like go through there, but this doesn't apply to you. I just put it like as simple as one pager. Like this is how you use it. You go in there and this is what you need to see as an executive. This is how you use it as an individual contributor to clean your pipeline or get ready for the forecast call, whatever the case may be. So I found it very successful to like just simplify it, one pager.
I really love this. You know why? Because you personalize usage based on what they actually need, rather than, hey, we just bought this tool, let's go on onboarding, let's watch their videos. You get a lot, and I had this experience.
Nobody does that.
You get access to Salesforce, go figure out, but it's a gigantic octopus. Like, how should I go on a rant?
Exactly.
And the same thing, again, happened in multiple companies that used to work in the past. One onboarding with a vendor, walk through the process, then go figure things out. And obviously you drop it. And that's why one of the main reasons why we don't use tools as frontliners is that we don't even know how to use it, and nobody's going to spend their time trying to figure out a tool if the value is not clear. So the fact that you're saying, hey, you're Mr. and Mrs. Executive, you got your dashboard, you can see the impact on revenue. We are moving the pipeline, we're closing deals faster with this. But for the end users, actual, usage to do their job better, hey, let this tool take your notes, update your CRM, give you some coaching. To your point, let's look at your deals. All right, I really like that. Do you believe your reps burn leads practicing on client calls? When it comes to giving them one-on-one coaching sessions, just don't have the bandwidth, so you get rid of them altogether? Or maybe you notice that your team spends a lot of time on non-revenue tasks like taking notes, updating CRM, or drafting emails. These are the exact challenges we solve for other revenue leaders like yourself. With SellMeThisPen AI Coach, you can offer your reps role-play sessions at scale while automating one-on-one coaching sessions based on your best practices and methodology. Also, AI will take care of all their non-revenue tasks, like note-taking, CRM updates, draft the email for them, so they can focus on constant improvement while you're focusing on one thing and one thing only: revenue growth. If you're interested in learning more about the clients we are working with or use cases that might be beneficial to you, check us out at SellMeThisPen.ai. You've done some fun, stuff about AI rollout in the past. I remember you mentioned something about enablement. It was an exercise that you actually run. Can you tell us that story and what you actually did?
Yeah, sure. Like at the previous company, I used to do the sales enablement sessions every week, 20 minutes, because nobody can focus on this more than 20 minutes. It was on Monday morning to set up the tone for the week. And I tried to make them fun and engaging. I have so many examples, right? Because this program ran for a couple of weeks. One, for example, was to spot a compelling event. So the team was struggling with generating qualified pipeline. Opportunities were generated and then they were disqualified. So I pulled all these opportunities into ChatGPT. That happened, like ChatGPT was just coming out there, right?
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't even a thing. Gave it prompts, gave it a tone, and then turned them into a trivia game. So we gamified it, and it was like really fun, short and sweet. But the hidden goal here wasn't just to spot a compelling event. So the team learned how to spot a compelling event, but the hidden goal was to sparkle that curiosity on the sales floor. Like, hey, what else can I do with ChatGPT to make my work more efficient, to make my life easier, right? Mm-hmm. And this is what you can do, like with all these tools out there, right? Like just show a little feature and gamify it, sparkle in some humor. Instead of like looking at slides, like that by slides, that by PowerPoint, it's a real thing. So that proved to be like really fun and engaging. And then that was the Trojan horse. And then I had a bunch of different, I think we need another session just to talk about all these different
practices.
Yeah, I had another quick one though that I can mention. Pain points. We matched the pain point with the product feature. So that was also really good. I took the opportunities that were in the pipeline, and based on all the notes on the opportunities, I translated them into pain points, and then we matched them to the product feature. So this way, the team was more confident in talking with potential customers.
You know what's so interesting about what you're saying? When we hire people, this is part of the job description. We want sellers that are curious, and we kind of like think that people are robots, and some come with that option of curiosity. Some people are more curious than the others, for sure. But sometimes we can spark that curiosity, and I think we forgot as enablers, RevOps professionals, overall go-to-market, people, that people are busy with their lives. B2B tools are boring in general. Like, yes, there's some tools that have some wow factor for a little while. But for someone who's actually generating revenue, walking through, again, getting their quotas and getting ghosted and, dealing with hardship of current, market, that everybody says, hey, you might be replaced tomorrow. So why not bringing and adding some fun to it? So maybe we can spark that curiosity, for people, and just don't have this biased expectation that everybody should be curious about everything. All right. Tell me about like these current scale-ups that you're working with. What are the common challenges that you see in this era compared to 5 years ago when you were running RevOps?
one of the challenges that I'm seeing the data, right? Like we still don't rely 100% on the data out there. It's just now that we are layering AI, AI is good and bad, right? It's basically helping us see the dumpster fire faster, but now it's color coded. So this data has been a problem for like years, right? Like leaders, executives are not confident in their data whenever they have to put stuff on the board slides. That is still a problem, but maybe a little less than before now that we have all these layers that can surface. Okay, like this opportunity wasn't touched in, doesn't have any activity in this amount of time. Like there is no follow-up activity here. Is this really an opportunity that is going to close on Friday? No, it's not, right? So now you can kind of see that and you can have a quicker judgment to like exclude it from the forecast, like make a better judgment. So that's one thing. Like before, just a couple of years ago, it feels like such a long time ago, we were doing all this stuff in spreadsheets, right? Like exporting everything from Salesforce and a lot of VLOOKUP, a lot of different report types that you would put together in order to understand like what is really happening in your pipeline, right? Things that you would not be able to do with pipeline inspection or like with just out of the box stuff in Salesforce. Now we have like all these tools and even Salesforce extra features that are helping us like make a better judgment. Okay, like this is not going to close when the rep says it will.
You know what I'm hearing from what you just said? It reminded me of John Barrows. He was on the show and he said something really interesting. He said, before Google was a search engine. Right now, ChatGPT is kind of like replacing it, but it's an answer engine or something along those lines. It means we rely on that answer. Like many people comes, but ChatGPT said it. This is great. Like my judge, my lawyer ChatGPT said, my professional, I don't know, the doctor ChatGPT said, and we really rely on what we are hearing. And many people don't question it. Are you sure? Can you show me some resources? Where did you get this answer? No, I think you're wrong. And even when you challenge it, you see sometimes you get, oh, you're absolutely right. I'm wrong. Fix it right away. It's just controversy. What's going on here? But there is a bigger actually reason for this. It's not only that, GPT or any other large language models are really agreeable or they have certain data. Is that data that we collect internally and we collect it all over the years is not clean. And ChatGPT, to your point, or any other tool, look at the context. And if what you have is not correct already, whether you're relying on CRM or even multiple data source, you're going to get some answers or maybe some hopeful answers that make you happy or do your job faster, but the data is the problem. So I wanted to hear from your perspective, how should we go about building that data hygiene moving forward?
Yes, I mean, I do have trust issues when it comes to ChatGPT or any AI tool. First of all, I think they're great. I use ChatGPT every single day, and like I talk faster than I write. So I like to, even after a meeting, to like just dump my ideas there, and then I ask it to do a summary, to do the next steps and all that. It's great. But when it comes to like actually seeing opportunities at risk, or like asking it in plain English to pull something from a system, I have to get my hands dirty with the data. I have to like look at the filters that I'm using, and I'm still using Excel. Like, yeah, judge me, but I'm still exporting stuff in Excel, especially when I need to put something together for like a board meeting, right? Where there is no room for error. Like you can't be like, oh, oops, I missed $1 million last month, but here it is. So I hope that answers your question, but I use ChatGPT like when, and not only ChatGPT, like all this AI generative content when it comes to like, okay, help me out with summarizing, help me out, like how do I change the tone to this? Like I provided the context, and then I like the AI to like bring all these signals at my fingertips, but I believe it's vital for the reps, for whomever does the outreach, to personalize that, to have like that human hook. There was at some point like this, these messages. I had a picture with my husky on my LinkedIn actually, and all the messages were having the same open line, right? Like with all your dogs, but it was like literally copy pasted.
Yeah.
Fortunately, companies give up on that, so I don't see those anymore. But I still see like long emails that I hope this message finds you well. Nobody cares about it. Like I don't care if it is generated with AI or if it is generated by a human. But tell me, what do you think my pain point is? Because you're an expert in the industry, and then how can you help me with that, right? And what I'm noticing, because right now I have to do the outreach myself, right? If I want to like acquire customers, because I'm a solopreneur, you need to like have just cut to the chase. Like, what was your core achievement last year? Like, hey, do you need any help with that? Period. Like, you don't have to be like, writing essays with ChatGPT or like with any generative AI out there. So I think it is powerful to provide all the context, and then have it like provide some flavor, right? And then with all these tools that are bringing all this information to the rep fingertips, so they can make like a judgment and the stuff that they should be combining along with their own personal touch. Not like, oh, I speak Chinese too. Like we have something in common. You want to buy my product?
I personalized it. You should like me right now. So let's book a meeting. No, I'm with you. And it makes a lot of sense. Like you said it at the beginning. So maybe it's not a tech problem. It's us problem. We don't know how to use it. Maybe adoption is the problem. It's the same thing. Like we publicly have access to such a powerful tool like ChatGPT, but we don't know exactly how to leverage it correctly, and we just rely on it because maybe, I don't know, human nature or the way things are hyped. We just accept whatever we receive. Okay, this is great, this is a great call, email, let's just shoot it out and hopefully things work. Let's automate it all together because that influencer or this influencer said this is the tool of future.
I couldn't have put it better. That's exactly what's happening. Like we rarely use the right prompt, right? Like if you just put it in there and should I open a business that does this? Yeah, this is the best idea in the world. No, you have to like give it a prompt that is like, hey, don't sugarcoat it. Like this is the context. And yeah, you have to like ask all these prompts because it does not have any judgment. It's not a human. And we forget that. We tend to forget that. So we give it prompts that are not that powerful.
That is true. Look, we're getting closer to time. I want to ask some rapid fire questions. But before we do that, is there anything else you wanted to add to today's conversation? If you wanted to mention anything about RevOps, any stories, anything that the audience should actually know?
I think the only part that we kind of didn't touch much on, I think, is the rise of fractional RevOps. And I think this is a very important trend that I'm seeing it happening. And as I was mentioning earlier, like half of my LinkedIn, I see them being laid off. And I'm very connected in the RevOps space with like conferences, with like just keeping in touch with RevOps pros out there. So I'm noticing that companies under 100 million, they can't afford to have a full-time RevOps anymore. So people that were laid off or people that are afraid that they might lose their job, they want to create that plan B. And because I started to put it out there, this fractional RevOps that I've been doing for a year and a half, I had a lot of people reaching out to me to kind of like have a conversation, what worked, what didn't work. I'm happy to share with everybody that reaches out to me and to like give everything that I've learned. So I'm seeing that a lot, right? Like companies don't have the luxury to hire somebody 40 hours per week. They want like in half the time, but the same outcome. So I'm seeing that, and I don't think it's necessarily just RevOps, right? Like fractional leadership, it's across the board, like you see in the other functions as well. Yep. Leaders are expected to do more with less. Like we have to do like in 20 hours per week, we have to achieve what we were achieving before. So I'm seeing fractional like on a rise a lot.
That is true. Like a lot of people even on the show, they already have started or they were thinking about going fractional, whether in enablement or even some CROs. You see a lot of fractional CROs right now.
Exactly.
So do you think it's going to be the way of future? Like it's one of those $1 million questions, but do you think we will see more fractional, roles and opportunities coming our way?
Yes, I do believe that because again, is cost saving. Companies don't have the resources to invest in a head of RevOps. Now, companies that are like smaller than 100 million, maybe they don't even have like any ops person at all. So they're going to work with agencies that come with their fractional leadership, but also the whole operations team. So you don't even have to have a tools admin anymore, right? But that is for smaller companies that are like just getting up there. So you are just buying the whole package without having to invest in like 2-3 people in your team, because one, you don't have the money, and two, if you fail big.
This is great, again, insight. Where to look for opportunities as a fractional RevOps professional? Because not every you need to know your buyer persona, and what you're sharing right now make a lot of sense.
You already answered it, right? Like you have to know your buyer persona. And my suggestion is to start with what you already, like how I said with the tools, start with what you already know. Like look in your career, what are the stuff that you enjoy doing? Like for me, I enjoy, my niche is in the supply chain. I love the tech world. I tried working for non-technology companies. I enjoyed it, but I know that I enjoy it more and I have more to offer in the SaaS world. So for me, my ideal customer profile became like really, really niche. And the companies that I work with, they have to have some operations team because I'm only one and I don't want to do the technical work anymore. I love to do it, but you can't expect me to be a tools admin and also design the processes from scratch, right? So you have to lay down all these expectations from beginning to be able to achieve something, right? And yeah, like just look at what you've been doing in your career. What is it that you have experience in doing? And if you can specialize instead of being super broad and doing like everything under the sun, RevOps, yes, we can do it. There is no question about it. But when you're specializing, you get to know the problems within the industry way more intimately. So I think that's one. And two, everything is about networking, and I cannot stress this enough, right? Like you have to like build that network, reach out to people that you've been working with before, right? And like genuinely connect with them, keep in touch with them. With their network, if they can recommend you within their network, just word of mouth and testimonials are more important than anything. Like it doesn't even matter what you accomplished at previous companies at this point, to be quite honest. Like if you have the testimonials, that people that vouch for you, and you have them from like VP level to C-suite, like this is what you need, people that are vouching, okay, Iulia helped me with this, this is more important than anything, because it all depends on the circumstances. Like I would like to have played with more AI tools, but unfortunately the companies that I work with, they were not on the edge of implementing all AI under the sun. There were other challenges and tools. You can learn a tool in like literally 2 weeks. Not even with all this self-serve materials and like everything that you find on the internet out there. So I think like just to like, long story short, specialization and passion, like let that passion consumes you. If you're not passionate about it, you're not going to succeed.
I love that. Look, this could be another session for another day. All right. Before I start my rapid fire question, I'm cheating. I forgot to ask you one question. Our previous guest, Lisa Honecker, she's the VP of Account Management at Actable, asked you a specific question. She said, RevOps has seen a tremendous amount of evolution in the last 3 years. If you could ask one thing of your revenue leaders to stay on the forefront of change, what would it be and why?
The forefront of change, culture. Culture is more important than anything. Like if the executive team does not instill that culture and doesn't set up the RevOps function for success within the company, then no matter how good the RevOps person is, they're not going to succeed.
All right, let's get into rapid fire questions. I need short answers. RevOps leaders will be more effective if they only
change the culture.
How your career impacted your personal development?
By getting me more into work-life balance and investing more in my personal health and finding ways to escape from work and be active and eat healthy.
Amazing. Last question. Our next guest is Teamwork, Senior Director of Account Management, also actable. Do you have any questions for him?
Yes. How do you think that RevOps is going to evolve in the next 3 years?
All right. This was great. That's about it. I really enjoyed the conversation. I hope you guys got some value from this episode. And I guess until next time, bye for now.
Bye.